around the world. The source of this sound was roughly triangulated to coordinates in a remote point in the South Pacific Ocean west of the southern tip of South America. Now, this sound, it only lasted about a minute and was heard repeatedly over the summer of 1997, but hasn't been heard since. So, of course, just like the other one, we have an audio of the sound, and we're going to listen to that real quick, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. So we'll play that one right now.
Sounds like an air bubble.
Yeah, I was going to say, bloop is like the best way to describe it.
That is the best word to describe it. And I mean, it doesn't sound that big of a deal, right? Until you actually think this sound was so loud and extremely powerful that underwater listening stations detected it 3,000 miles apart. So that had to be a pretty big bloop.
Yeah, that's the biggest fart ever in the ocean.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that the fucking blue whale just came by. Oh shit. Bloop.
Yeah.
Well, how far does a blue whale song go?
Let's see.
I'm assuming they're the loudest in the ocean. There could be another that is.
So blue whales can be heard 4,000 miles away from each other.
Oh,
But-
so it's just a blue whale with gas. Let's move on past this one.
But here's the thing. It's like extremely powerful, and it's an ultra low frequency sound, which they cannot emit. The blue whales can't, and
Okay.
no other mammal can. So that prompts the question, what could this be? So some say that this bloop sound is most likely to come from some sort of animal, like we just said, because its signature is a rapid variation in frequency, which is similar to that of sounds known to be made by marine beasts. However, there's one crucial difference. Since this sound was detected by underwater sensors 3,000 miles apart, that means it was far louder than any whale noise or any animal noise in the ocean for that matter. Some speculated that it was some sort of like Cthulhu type creature hidden in our ocean. Now, there is something worth noting here. An individual named Christopher Fox, who works for the NOAA, which is the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Boy, that's a mouthful. That's what she said. That studies underwater sounds. He said in an interview that he does not believe this bloop sound was man-made, such as it being like a submarine or like a bomb or whatever. He also said that it isn't the same as a geological event such as a volcano or earthquake underground. Now, even though he has said this, the speculation that the sound originated from a marine animal was immediately replaced by NOAA's description of the sound as being consistent with noises generated by glacier movements, such as a giant iceberg breaking off and falling down to the ocean bottom, and then it scrapes the bottom of the ocean floor as it moves along. Now, does that sound like a glacier iceberg breaking off and scraping the bottom of the ocean floor?
Bloop.
I mean, I've never heard of a iceberg falling, but I'm pretty sure it'd make like a kind of a screeching, scraping noise, wouldn't it?
That's what I would assume too. And it's weird, that guy, that Christopher Fox, who went on TV in the interview and said, you know, this wasn't anything geological.
Mm-hmm.
And then the NOAA immediately came out and said, oh yeah, it was something geological. Are they covering something up? The world may never know.
It's all that underground alien space shit.
I'm telling you, there is some weird underground aliens down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe that bloop was a takeoff of a spaceship out of the ocean.
Ooh. Okay.
Because I mean, my first thought on it was like maybe an earthquake with the tectonic plates or whatever.
Yeah.
How they shift and then like it leaves like a little gap there and say the heat from the core or something like that. You know, just like producing a bubble and, you know, like how bubbles can like expand and all of a sudden, bloop, maybe it's just big bubbles.
3,000 miles though?
You gotta think like big bubble. Not the ones that you buy with the wands and make those huge bubbles. I'm talking big bubble here. Size of a megalodon. No.
Well, To add to our discussion, Dan, you want to talk about Julia, our next sound? Because it's similar to the bloop.
I will talk about Julia. So on March 1st, 1999, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the organization we just talked about, regarding the bloop, well, they picked up an unidentified underwater sound on their recording equipment again. This sound was loud enough to be heard over the entire Pacific Ocean, and it lasted for 15 seconds.
So we'll play that one right now. Okay, that one is a little bit more scarier than the rest.
And that was heard over the entire Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
That sounded like a belly rumbling type noise.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded more like what Noah was saying about the bloop sound, about a glacier iceberg or whatever coming and breaking off and hitting the ocean floor and scraping the bottom as it travels along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it sounds like a giant engine maybe starting back up or shutting down.
Mm. It's like what the Titanic probably sounds like rubbing against the friggin' iceberg. But yeah, like, I can hear that. The bloop, no. But Julia, I can hear it.
Like say, when you're younger, you get a cup of cup of milk, you pour some of that Nesquik or chocolate syrup in there, end up mixing it up, but then you put a straw in there, and then you end up blowing bubbles. You ever do that?
Oh, yeah.
No?
I definitely did that. I just haven't done it in so long, I'm trying to remember the sound.
That's what the second part of that kind of sounds like. It's kind of what I would imagine saying, like, if you put the rear end of a vehicle underwater and the muffler is like trying to blow air out, that's what it would sound like. It's saying there, kind of like an engine going.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like the muffler underwater. But the first part of it, I don't know.
Could it be an underwater sea creature going,
I mean,
know.
it definitely could be.
I mean, we got to remind ourselves that this is over the entire Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there's some strange facts about this, isn't there, Dan?
Yes. So, just like the bloop, the NOAA said that the source of this sound was most likely a large iceberg that had run aground off Antarctica.
Okay, I can see that sound. Okay.
Yeah. Especially how it's like broken up first part and then second part. However, there's something strange to note about this sound. Photographs from NASA's Apollo 33A5 shows a large shadow swaying through the southwest section of Cape Cadre at the same time the Julia sound was recorded. This unknown shadow is 2 times larger than the Empire State Building.
That is straight up Godzilla.
This was in the water?
In the water. A shadow in the water.
Oh my gosh. Well, that could make a sound, probably that goes across the whole freaking Pacific. Something that big.
So that's pretty weird, huh?
Super
Yeah.
weird.
That's
Man. Well, the noise, not as unusual sounding as the bloop, but very odd with how huge of a radius it was.
Yeah. Gigantic.
I mean, it could be some kind of creature down there. We haven't explored no more than like 5% of the ocean. So there's 95% of shit we don't even know that's down there, that's unexplored.
No need to explore it when the aliens already occupy it.
Yeah.
We're going to invade. It's our land. It's our water.
All right, Anna, what sound do you have for us next?
The Forest Grove Sound. This one, we're going back to February 2016. In Forest Grove, Oregon, a high-pitched noise was heard throughout the city in various locations throughout that month. When the sound would start up, it only lasted between 10 seconds to sometimes several minutes, and individuals could never locate the source of it. However, everyone reported that even though the sound was coming from different locations throughout the month, that each and every time they, quote, had to cover their ears because it sounded similar to car brakes squealing or a giant flute being played off pitch. As all the other noises, we have sound of that as well, so we will play that right now. Okay, that is,
Interesting.
again, the perfect way to describe that. It's either a flute off key or a brake squealing.
I would
Yeah.
go absolutely nuts if that was being played outside of my window nonstop.
So that's better than the drummer next door?
Absolutely. Oh, wait, hold on. No, the drummer next door is better than this.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that one was tough to hear.
Yeah.
I had to turn it down for sure.
So, what do they say this could be? Little boy Jack up on the hill playing his flute?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they say that. Okay, so of course, throughout the month of February, when this sound was occurring, many individuals in town decided to call the local police to figure out what it could be. Well, the police chief of the town was like, I don't freaking know. And then the individuals calling started suggesting explanations for the sound, which they said it could be frogs, or aliens, or Bigfoot. Yes, Bigfoot.
Hold on.
Bigfoot?
Frogs, first of all. Who says frogs to that? I mean, that is almost worse than aliens or Bigfoot. Frogs fit nowhere in there.
I know. Well, this town mayor, of course, he started asking around and holding meetings to figure out the cause of the sound. People in the town started to point fingers and say that it was hurting their ears. Andrew Dawes, who was a professor of physics at Pacific University, was called in the town to try and figure out what the heck the noise was. He mapped the location where the noise had been heard, but couldn't come to a conclusion as to what it was. A week or so after that, the Forest Grove fire marshal said that he suspected the noise to be, and I quote, a faulty attic fan or heat pump.
God.
Okay, so then in late February, again 2016, the noise stopped appearing and the Forest Grove police